Hello and welcome back, guys. We're now starting a new story, Deku, the next wielder of the Omnitrix. Book 1, written by Rabidzu. You can find author's profile link in the description. Let's begin Chapter 1, Welcome to Earth. Ben-10. The night sky was appealing over the city of Hosu tonight. The city bustling with life as its citizens either were going home or going out with their companions, heroes patrolling the blocks for villains, occasionally greeting the citizens and taking pictures with them. It was as if all was right in the world. People were on their phones watching footage of the most recent villain attack and admiring their heroes in action. The most common talk of the night were that of Kamui Woods, Mount Lady, and of course the number one hero, All Might. Hey, look at this. A schoolgirl exclaimed, holding her phone out to her friends, who looked in curiosity. Dr. Onimo was caught just now trying to rob a bank a few miles from here. Ugh, this guy's super gross. His quirk is to mutate animals and change them into monsters, isn't it? The girl's friend asked. If I were a hero, I wouldn't go anywhere near him, not even if I had a 6-foot pole to beat him with. Just thinking about even having to cuff him gives me hives. Who stopped him this time? The third friend asked. Looks like All Might again. Kinda almost seems like that's the only hero the news ever reports on nowadays. What do you expect? The guy's the number one hero Japan. Though, I don't think Onimo was worth All Might's time. Didn't he get caught a few months ago by Endeavor? Yeah, but only because he kept crying about how Endeavor was burning his animals. My pets, oh my precious creations. Can you even call them animals? If you stare long enough, they almost look like aliens, don't they? Come on, there's no way aliens exist. Have you been watching Star Wars again? The three girls laugh at the comment and continue to walk towards the train station. What they don't realize is aliens that truly do exist, that they are not alone in the universe. The proof that some may ask for such a claim. Simply look into the night sky of Hosu City. There, a strange red creature had just entered Earth's atmosphere and flew over the ocean, creating a small splitting double wave as it did. Soon, it stops and hovers over the glowing city. So, this is Earth, huh? Sensei's home world, and the home world of the human race, the strange creature said to itself as it observed the city. A lot brighter than I thought it would be, but so far, nothing impressive. The tech they're using when compared to that of the rest of the galaxy is almost laughable. But considering they haven't gone extinct yet, they have to be doing something right, I suppose. Guess I'll go down and take a look. The creature then flew down and landed on a beach piled with trash. A bright green flash lights up the area momentarily as it died, revealing a man with gray hair and a green jacket, paired with brown cargo pants and black combat boots. Now that the blending in part won't be a problem anymore, the young man said as he turned to face the city, smirking at the bright lights of the city ahead of him. Time to see what Earth has in store for Ben-10, Zark age, 26 code name, Ben-10,000 occupation, wandering hero plumber, on an extended sabbatical, plumber rank, Magister BRTH planet, Vilgodon birthday, December 31st BLD type. O-negative former gang leader of the Red Hunters, reformed criminal active delinquent, second-generation wielder of the Omnitrix, successor of Ben-10,000. Ren runs up the stairs and immediately bumps into a skeletal man wearing a plain t-shirt and green jeans. They both fall down onto their backs. Ren immediately gets up and offers the man his hand. Sorry about that, I'm kind of new to the area. Ren said playfully. It's quite alright, young man. You really shouldn't be out this late though, don't you have school or a college lecture in the morning? The man lectured as he grabbed Ren's hand and stood. I don't really know what that is, but it's safe to assume that I don't. Ren replied confusingly. Alright then, say, you wouldn't happen to know the time, do you? My phone died a couple of minutes ago, so I sort of lost track of it. The old man asked. Your guess is as good as mine. I just got here a few minutes ago. Ren replied. Just got here. But, there's nowhere else to enter from. The man thought to himself. But, you have a watch, don't you? The man asked. Huh. Ren asked curiously. The man points to Ren's wrist. Oh, that. It doesn't exactly tell the time. Hee, Ren replied nervously. A bit ironic, isn't it? To wear a watch that doesn't tell time. The man asked. Believe me, I am well aware of the paradox here. Well, I'll be heading out now. See you later, old-timer. Ren said, running off. Suddenly, Ren stops dead in his tracks and turns to the man again. Hey, wait, I almost forgot. Ren called out as he jogged in place. The skeletal man turns to face him. Your name? I never got your name. Ren yelled out. You can just call me Toshinori. The man yelled out. Nice meeting you, Toshinori, I'm Ren. Catch you later. Ren said as he began running afterward. Toshinori watches Ren take off with a bit of curiosity. Ren, huh? Toshinori thought. After a few minutes of confused walking, Ren finally made it to the center of Hosu, where it was still full of life. Food stands were still open as people line up to get a taste. Ren stared in awe of just how many people there were and the amazing smells that surrounded him. Wow, from up top this place didn't seem like much. But now that I'm down and about, there you are, old man. A man's voice yelled, catching Ren's attention. Ren looks to his right and sees three thugs approaching a small ramen stand. A middle-aged man stands behind the stand, visibly frightened as the leader pulls him in by his collar. Heard you snitched to the police about what happened the other day. The leader thug yelled. No. The police and heroes just came by for questioning and I just told them what I saw, that was it, I swear. The owner of the stand yelled. Well, because of that flapping mouth of yours, one of our buddies ended up getting put in the slammer. The second thug yelled as he knocked over the pot of broth. All of you leeches, get the hell out of here. The third thug yelled as he kicked over the table. Go on, scram. Or else you'll get mauled to death and sent home in a body bag. Please stop. I didn't do anything. Please don't destroy my stand. The owner pleaded as the leader pulls him over the counter. The owner of the stand is thrown across the street, rolling before finally hitting the railings of the crosswalk and stopping. He groans in pain as the leader thug begins to approach him. Oh, don't worry, once we're through with you, you won't be doing much of anything anymore. The first thug said as he activated his quirk. His hand began to glow a bright yellow and red as drips of molten lava fall down onto the concrete. Please, I beg you. The owner yelled out in fear. Should have kept your mouth shut then, hey. Ren called out to the thugs. All three of them looked behind him to see Ren staring at them. Leave him alone, does it seriously take three muscle heads to threaten one person? Ren yelled. Are all the criminals around here as pathetic as you are? Shaking down one old man. The leader thug turns and faces Ren. Ren glances over to the owner and signals him with his hand to run. The owner quickly stands up and runs towards the crowd, looking back at Ren and the leader thug. You know, if you're gonna shake someone down, maybe don't do it in such a public space. You know, where literally everyone is. And can call for help. Particularly, a cop's help. Ren said to the thug. Why, you know, the fact that I have to explain this to you is, well, I would say surprising, but seeing the fashion choices you made before stepping out of the house says a lot about you in general. You really should shut that mouth of yours, kid, you don't want a piece of any of us. The first thug said as he walked towards Ren. Oh yeah. Ren replied as he took a step closer to the thug and looked at him in the eye. And what if I do want a piece? You gonna cut me one SHT for brains? The ball on this punk. We know what we do to people like you. The second thug said as he revealed his hand, transforming into a large blade. We chop people up into tiny bits of flesh. Ren whistles in amusement at the large blade hand, chuckling to himself. Not the only thing you chopped up. Have you seen that hairline of yours? Is this some fashion statement or does it just naturally look like it got blown back all the way to Kansas? Ren asked. Word of advice man, leave the haircutting to the professionals because clearly, some people just shouldn't be trusted with a razor. Like you. You better watch that mouth of yours. Because from what I can see, there's 3 of us. And only one of you. The third thug said as his teeth suddenly turned into metal spikes, his jaw enlarging itself. Don't start a fight you can't finish, pretty boy. I'll chew you up and spit you out into nothing but mush. Yeah, what am I supposed to be scared of exactly? The ugly one, the dumb one, or the one that should have been an example as to why wearing condoms are important? Ren replied. If anything, I'm more worried that you 3, as a collective group, have a total of 2 brain cells and both of them are competing for 3rd place. Now that's scary to think about. This one's got quite the lip on him. The third thug as he drooled. Oh, I like to think I know my way around a good quip or 2. Ren said as he steps towards the group and readies himself, clenching his fist tightly. But I suppose comedy is subjective these days. There is a long stare between the 2 figures, with Ren grinning the entire time. The civilians witnessing this remain silent while some run off to find the authorities. Finally, the leader thug chuckles in amusement. Look kid, I'm a nice guy, beating up youngsters with an attitude problem ain't really my forte. So how about this? Just because I respect the pair on you for standing up to us like this. I let you walk away, you pretend you never saw this and I don't melt you like ice cream. The leader thug asked. We got a deal. This ain't your fight, don't try to be something you're not. Don't be a hero. Ren takes a moment of silence, then finally, he answers. You know what, on second thought, you're right. This isn't my fight at all. Ren replied. That's what I thought. Now scram before you really get what's coming to the thug's surprise, he is met with a swift kick to the side of his head as Ren's foot slams him down onto the ground, shocking everyone around him. Ren sets his foot down and exhales deeply as he placed his foot onto the unconscious thug's back. Oh look, now it's suddenly my fight. How convenient. Ren said to the other thugs with a confident smirk. So, who wants a piece of me first? Because if you want to get to that guy over there, you're gonna have to go through me. Be boss. Boss. The second thug yelled. No way. He took him down with just one kick. The third thug yelled. The crowd surrounding them began to murmur and whisper among themselves as they took out their phones, beginning to record the situation. So boys want to hear the specials for today. Me personally, I recommend the triple knuckle sandwich served with a side of our original 1-2 combo breaker, topped with a garnish of this foot up your butt and decorated with a spread of our very famous trip to jail puree. Ren said as he steps over the body of the leader thug. Very good for the soul. Granted you don't drop the soap behind bars, that is. Trust me, happens a lot more than you think it would. The thug looked at Ren, whose eyes and composure were brimming with confidence. The thugs take a step back away from the approaching Ren, who begins cracking his knuckles and neck as he maintained eye contact with the group. There's no way you're that strong on your own. Was that your quirk? The third thug yelled. Some kind of one-shot kick. A nuclear kick quirk. The second thug added. Quirk. The hell is a quirk? Ren asked. And just so you know, I do have steel-toe boots on, so that's a contributing factor as to why your boss went down so well, disappointingly fast. You messing with us? The boss is the strongest out of all of us, he doesn't go down that easily. The second thug yelled. Ren turns around and lightly taps the leader thug's body with his foot, making him groan slightly. Yeah, he is out like a light. Ren replied. Say, if this was your leader and he went down in like, I don't know, 5 seconds. I wonder how long you clowns would last against me. The thugs take another step back, making Ren chuckle as he turned to face them once more. Oh. What's wrong? suddenly feeling nervous. Ren asked as he took another step towards the two thugs, making them step back. Flames begin to leak out from beneath Ren's foot, the wildfire swirl around Ren's body before the rush of heat suddenly blast past the thugs. Heat. The second thug asked. What the hell is this? The third thug asked. The crowd of spectators continue to stare at Ren in awe and shock as he continues to walk up to the two remaining thugs. What happened to all of that big talk from earlier? Weren't you gonna chop me up? Chew me into mush and spit me out? You still have the advantage in numbers, right? Ren asked as he continued to approach them. Come on then, let's see if you have what it takes. Take your best shot. But I should warn you. The flames completely engulf Ren as a giant wolf emerges from the flames, snarling and glaring at the remaining thugs, filling them with fear. You'd better not miss. The wolf's deep voice snarled to the two thugs. Wolf. The thugs asked as they stared up at the giant wolf before them. My legs. They can't move. The second thug added. The leader behind Ren begins to slowly awaken as he gets up, his arms glowing bright like molten lava as he growled with anger. The leader begins to charge towards Ren, taking a huge right swing with his arm dripping with lava. Like I didn't see that coming from a mile away. Ren thought as he spins and kicks the thug's arm into the air, sending the stream of molten magma bits into the sky. What? The leader thug yelled as he's suddenly met with a gut punch from Ren, making him vomit his saliva out and fall back down onto his knees. YUBSTRD. Ren grabs the leader thug's head and strikes against the thug's nose using his knee, breaking it and causing the leader to writhe in pain as he held his nose. Boss. The second thug yelled as he charged in towards Ren. You're dead meat. And you're eager to get what your boss got. I like the enthusiasm. Ren said as he JRKS back, dodging the swing of the second thug's blade arm. Ren lands an uppercut onto the thug's jaw, forcing his head to JRK upwards before striking his side, followed by a spin kick that sends him flying back into a nearby parked car. The thug gets up and roars angrily before charging back towards Ren. The second thug begins to swing his bladed arms wildly, to which Ren easily dodges all of the slashes and ducks underneath the last swing. With a swift motion from his kick, he sweeps the thug's legs out, causing him to fall onto his back. The second thug tries to move his blade arm up towards Ren. Ren turns his body to the side and kicks the thug's arm aside, quickly kneeling down and striking him in his face. You know, you should really look into a career change because this whole common thug thing is not working out so well for you, man. Ren asked as the third thug roars loudly with his metal teeth and charges in towards Ren, baring his extended fangs. Oh dude, you guys are making this too easy for me. Ren however just stood in place and clenched his fist tightly. Pulling his fist and arm back, he swings his fist towards the thug's teeth precisely, shattering all of his teeth with a single punch and making the thug bleed. My teeth. My. You broke all of my teeth. Oof, buddy, either you're gonna get rich from the tooth fairy tonight or you're gonna need a really good dentist. Because I'm not gonna lie man, no law is ever gonna fix them dentures. Ren said before grabbing the thug by his collar and throwing him over his shoulder, slamming him down onto the ground. The leader thug slowly begins to get up, his body secreting with heat as his arms turn into molten lava. Ren turns around and looks over to the now awake leader, smirking before dusting off his shoulder. Alright then boys, you've shown me enough of your tricks, it's only fair that you see some of mine. Ren said as he held up the watch on his wrist. Keep those eyes wide open, blink, and you might just miss it. A watch. You making fun of me, kid? The leader asked. The hell are you gonna do with a watch? Kick your butt into next week of course. Ren said as he held up his right arm. It's hero, to Ren's surprise, a long wooden arm suddenly extends past him, pinning the leader against the wall of a nearby building. That's enough, both of you. A man behind Ren says. Have some respect for the people around you. Kamui Woods? The leader asked as a man with large fists and a blonde-haired woman with a purple eye mask joined them. Death Arms, Mount Lady. Kamui exclaimed. We heard there was a disturbance over here. Death Arms yelled. Everyone, please stand, Mount Lady said as she looked at the two unconscious thugs on the ground, with Ren standing in between them. Back, what the? Death Arms asked as he looked at the two unconscious thugs on the ground, turning his attention over to Ren, who put his arm back down. What in the world? Guess this is Earth's law enforcement. The hell is with those tacky costumes? Ren asked. And here I thought the plumbers' uniforms were tacky. This is like a weird mesh of whatever you could find at the clown clearance sale. Ren thought as he looked at Death Arms and Mount Lady. They're already down for the count, Mount Lady said as she looked over to Ren, twirling her hair around her finger and fidgeting in place. Hello handsome, Death Arms, Mount Lady, status on the other thugs? Kamui asked. All clear her dash, Death Arms said as he noticed the leader thug glowing red. Kamui, your arm. Look out. The bindings Kamui had on the thug then begin to light on fire. The thug then bursts out of the bindings of Kamui Woods and charges at him. I ain't going back to the slammer, you hear me? The leader thug yelled. SHT, I have to do something. Ren thought to himself as he prepared to slam down on his watch yet again. Just before he could, however, a powerful torrent of water strikes the thug, cooling him down while pushing him back. How about we all just cool down? The man in the fire jacket said. Kamui looks behind him to see another hero, one dressed as a firefighter with hoses for arms. Backdraft. Kamui yelled. Once the torrent of water stops, the thug's skin then begins to harden, rendering him immobile. He struggles furiously against his newly created obsidian straitjacket. DMN it, DMN it, DMN it. The leader thug yelled in anger. Kamui takes a breath and gives a thumbs up to Backdraft. Thanks, you really saved me there. Kamui said to Backdraft. Don't worry about it, we're fellow pros, right? Backdraft replied as he rubs the back of his head embarrassingly. Kamui. If you don't mind. Death Arms said to Kamui as he held up the other two thugs. Kamui then binds them up with his quirk. Ren looked at the heroes in both confusion and in surprise. Death Arms then looks in Ren's direction, their gazes meet. Hey, you there. Death Arms said to Ren. Were you the one who took these guys down? Wait. Me. No. Ren replied sarcastically. See, they were here when I got here. You know, I just thought it was weird for them to take a nap here of all places, but hey, who am I to judge? I've slept in the underbelly of a plane's landing gear once, so compared to that, this is heaven. I'm not in the mood for sarcasm. Do I look like I'm joking to you? Death Arms asked. I don't know, you're the one dressed like some weird cosplay of a construction zone, so you tell me. Ren replied. Wanna know what I think? I think from where I saw it, it looked like you were in a fight with these three. You were instigating and even engaged in the fight too. Death Arms replied angrily. You wanna know what's that called? Doing your job. Ren asked. You know, I got half a mind to take you into custody for that attitude alone. Death Arms said to Ren. Huh? For what? What did I do? Ren replied. Death Arms approaches Ren, who barely flinches at his yelling. From the looks of things, you were the one instigating the fight. What's worse, you even started physical fight in a public space. Do you have any idea what you were doing? People could have gotten seriously hurt. Death Arms yelled. Are you kidding me? I didn't do anything. They were harassing this guy and no one else was around at the time. What, I was just supposed to sit around and let them wreck this guy's shop? Ren yelled back. You are aware that for a civilian like you to involve yourself in matters like this, I could arrest you under the vigilante laws that we have in place in order to prevent untrained people like you from doing things like this, right? Death Arms asked. There's a reason we're called pro heroes, you know, it's because we're the ones properly trained to deal with situations like these. You could have made things worse for everyone around you acting the way you did. Oh, I'm sorry, you're absolutely right. The next time I see a gang of thugs harassing an innocent bystander, I'll be sure to just stay out of it and record it instead. Ren replied sarcastically. Maybe if your response time to danger wasn't absolute dog SHT, I wouldn't have had to do your med job for you. You little punk, that's it. You're coming down to the station with me and, yes sir, wait, please. He's telling the truth. The owner said as he stood up. They were wrecking my stand and harassing me because I gave an eyewitness statement against one of their friends a couple of days ago. Had it not been for this young man, the damage to my shop would have been much greater. Death Arms looks at the owner with a look of shock on his face, then he looks back at Ren. Even if they did try anything, I could have handled myself. Ren added. I wasn't just gonna stand by and watch when I can do something here and now. I was here, I helped. You were late to the party, sounds like this is more of a you problem than it is mine. Death Arms grunts in frustration and leaves. Don't do nothing like that again, you hear me brat? Death Arms yelled out. I won't be so easy on you next time. Yeah, don't slip on your own drool there slackjaw McGee. Ren yelled back. Mount Lady looks back at Ren. Their eyes meet for a moment as Mount Lady smiles and winks at Ren. I swear, the punks we have to deal with these days get bolder and bolder. Death Arms grumbled. Kids these days have no respect for their superiors. Let it go Death Arms, let's just focus on booking these thugs and call it a day for now. Kamui Woods replied. Who does he think he is, talking to pro heroes like that? Death Arms growled. That smug look on his face, he's lucky I didn't take him in on the account of that mouth alone. I don't know, I think he's kind of cute. Smoking hot actually, that whole bad boy vibe he's got going on really suits him well. Mount Lady added as she twirled her hair. Let's just give him a pass this one time. Oh, he seems like a bundle of joy. Ren thought to himself as he looked at the three heroes leave with the thugs. Thank you young man for helping me, the owner said to Ren. Ren turns to face the owner. Don't worry about it. Couldn't just stand by and watch when they were about to seriously put the hurt on you. Ren replied as he dusted the owner's shoulder off. Sorry about your shop though, they roughed it up a bit before I got to them. Nonsense, had you not stalled them long enough for the pros to arrive, my shop would have been as good as dust. I can easily make the repairs on this humble stand of mine when I get back home, and it's all thanks to you. So once again, thank you young man for your courage, thank you. The owner said as he shook Ren's hands up and down. Please, let me repay you with a bowl of my famous ramen. The owner walks back behind his stand and grabs another pot. Ramen. What's that? Ren asked. A Japanese delicacy. Please, sit. It's on the house. The owner said excitedly. Ren simply shrugged and sat down at the counter, watching the man prepare him a bowl of ramen. Unfortunately, they knocked over my last good pot of broth. So I'll have to reheat a cold batch. No worries, take your time. As Ren watches the owner prepare the ingredients, he thinks over about what Death Arms said to him. From the looks of things, you were the one instigating the fight. What's worse, you were even about to start a physical fight in a public space. Do you have any idea what you were doing? People could have gotten seriously hurt. Hey, what do I call you? Ren asked. You can just call me Chef. The owner said. Alright then. Chef. What is it? Those three guys back then, were they heroes or something? The owner stops in his tracks and looks over his shoulder at Ren with a curious look. Chef waits for Ren to retract his question, hoping it was just a joke in poor taste. Ren continues to stare with a blank look. You're not joking, are you? They're the pro heroes Death Arms, Kamui Woods, and Backdraft. They're actually pretty famous around this area, Kamui Woods especially, been hearing a lot of good things about him. He's been getting pretty popular on the charts too. It wouldn't surprise me if he was in the top 10 by next year. The owner said to Ren. Top? Ren asked curiously. I'm more surprised you haven't heard of them before. It must be nice, to have a quirk that you can use to help people. The owner asked. Yeah, what are quirks exactly? Ren asked curiously. You saw Kamui wrap up those thugs and backdraft cooldown that one guy, didn't you? That's their quirks. Some amazing ones, I'd say, so quirks are basically just like their abilities. Like if I can shoot blasts from my hand, that would be my quirk. I suppose, yeah. But that's if you can shoot blasts from your hand. So that tree guy had a wood quirk and that yellow jacket guy had like, a water quirk. More or less. Huh, it looks like humans managed to evolve to the point where they get special abilities. I don't remember Sensei ever mentioning that part about Earth. I wonder, hey chef, does everyone have a quirk? Ren asked. Not exactly, chef said as he shakes the water off of the noodles. Almost everyone in the world has one these days, some small, some big, but it's almost safe to say that the entire world is filled with quirks. Almost. There are some people who are quirkless, as in people who don't have a quirk at all, despite both of their parents possibly having quirks. Chef pours the broth into the bowl of noodles, all while carefully adding in the meat, egg, and squid. I hear that people who are quirkless have harder lives. Because these days, being quirkless is more or less treated as a bad thing. It's almost like a death sentence. They're often looked down upon in society and treated as a lesser being. It's heartbreaking to witness honestly. Ren listens silently to Chef's words, letting it all sink in as he thinks over what he just heard. He puts his head down and reminisces about his childhood. An image of a child crying in the mirror flashes in his mind, only for a split second. I guess no matter where you are in the universe, if you're different, you'll be treated like so. Ren whispered to himself. Say, young man, where are you from exactly? Chef asked. Why do you ask? Ren replied. Well, you're asking all these questions about the pro heroes, quirks. It's almost as if you've never seen someone with a quirk before. I was, just curious is all. Where I'm from, Ren trailed off. Never thought humans could have abilities like that, Ren whispered to himself. Ren then looks up to Chef, who was putting on the garnishes of the ramen. Do you have a quirk, Chef? Ren asked. Chef pauses for a moment, then he smiles. Quirkless or not, it doesn't matter to me in the slightest. I won't let something as small as that stop me from doing what makes me happy the most. Chef replied as he put the bowl of ramen in front of Ren. Enjoy. Ren looks at the bowl of ramen with awe and anticipations. He took one whiff of the aroma emanating from the bowl and smiled. How do I, Ren asked as he looked around for utensils. Chef smiled and grabbed a pair of disposable chopsticks for Ren. Break them apart. Chef said to Ren. Ren does as he says and breaks the two chopsticks apart. He picks up a heaping strand of noodles and blows on it to cool it down. As he took his first ever bite of ramen, the flavors of the broth and the softness of the noodles sends him into shock as he feels the secrets of the universe suddenly being revealed to him. How Ren feels right now, Ren. Is everything? Chef asked as Ren suddenly slurped all of the noodles instantly in one go, moving on to the beef and boiled egg. Ren burps loudly and exhales with complete satisfaction in his voice. That was amazing. The flavor, the toppings, everything. Right down to the seasoning and the soup, it was oh my god, Ren said in shock. What is this? The result of over 30 years of serving ramen to folks just like you. Chef replied. Practice makes perfect after all. I've been serving ramen in this very stand ever since it's how I met my late wife. This is literally the best thing I have ever tasted. Ren yelled. This is the food of the gods themselves. Please Ren, you're exaggerating, Chef, coming from someone who's literally had to survive off of roasting rats and leftover rotting meat from the dumpster behind bars for more than half of his life, this to me is like a meal only the celestial sapiens could make. Ren replied. The balance of spikes, the delicate toppings that soak in the flavor of the broth, combined with the silky smooth texture of these noodles. Perfection. What is a celestial sapien? Chef asked. A story for another time. Say, could I possibly get another bowl of ramen, was it? Ren asked. Had kind of a long journey here, so I'm kind of famished. Your ramen really hit the spot. Coming right up. Chef exclaimed as he prepared another bowl. Ren looks down at the lingering broth in his bowl and begins to drink it completely. Something tells me I'm gonna like it here on Earth, Ren thought as he finishes drinking the broth, right as Chef places down another bowl. Especially if Chef here keeps slinging this awesome ramen of his. End of chapter 1. Yes, it's me. Rabitsu, author of Deku, the next wielder of the Omnitrix, and Book 2, The Omni Hero, Deku. Unfortunately, my account has been nuked and I wasn't able to get it back. That means that both books are gone forever, at least until I rewrite both of them on this account. I know some of you may be skeptical and think I'm just some random dude who's trying to capitalize followers on the situation. But for all of those who really know me, you'd know that I never cared about the number of followers or the number of views I got on my stories. I'd rather write for a small group of loyal readers than write for a large audience of fake ones. But for those who are still skeptical, only look at the cover art to know that I'm telling the truth. I'm the only one who has access to the original unedited cover art of this picture, and I re-edited it to have the new logo at the top instead of the original, with the quality still being intact. Personally, I like the new one a lot more. Both pictures were commissioned by the awesome Gasper on Instagram. Like always, for anyone wanting to use these images for their own MHA Ben-10 fanfics, please feel free to do so. I don't even need the credit or anything, as long as it helps you out in any way, shape or form, that's all that really matters to me. There wasn't a lot of images that I could have used when I first started my story to make my story stand out. As long as you credit the original artist of this commission, that's the only thing I'll ever ask of you to do. Gasper has worked with me on many commissions in the past and he does amazing work. He deserves as much recognition as possible for both his art skills and work ethic. That man can draw insanely fast. I think this one only took 2 or 3 days to make after I made the payment. I thank all of you guys for managing to find me and sticking with me through this hard time. Your support and loyalty is all the motivation I need in order to keep going and keep trying again and again. My promise is still there, we're seeing this story to the end. Albeit with much more careful consideration this time. I'll probably be doing mass uploads throughout this week, only pausing to rewrite some things in my story and adding some new stuff, like AI art and all that for the OCs. I hope I'll still have your continued support moving forward with this sort of remastered version of the story. That's what it feels like. This is my flashpoint honestly, but again, there won't be any big changes to how the story flows like the original, but there will be more added content to expand on the universe as a whole. As always, thank you all for reading and standing by me in these trying times. Let's go beyond together, plus ultra. The end of the century is awaiting for me, boys, let's march towards the future together. Me initially mourning the loss of my first account, but end up realizing that everything happens for a reason and that when one door closes, another one opens. It's better to let go of something than to lament over that which you cannot control. Wattpad seeing my second account, confused as to why I didn't quit writing after they dumped 3 years of my life with just the click of a button, me realizing that I can make my story better and add even more lore to it, the way I wanted to, but never had the time to develop them properly. Feeling more motivated than ever to write my flashpoint, me ready to make the biggest comeback of my life, knowing that even if my stories got deleted, I will always be the one and only Rabitsu. Chapter 2, Enter Izuku Midoriya. The past, that's mean Kaken. A young child with green hair and red shoes said as he stood in front of a crying boy. Can't you see he's crying? This isn't right. If you keep going. The young boy readies his fists and stand in between the crying boy and a young blonde child. "I'll never forgive you," the young boy said to the blonde child. The blonde child only smirks viciously as his two friends behind him activates their quirk. "Even thought you're just a quirkless bug," the blonde boy said as his hands exploded with small explosions. "You're still trying to pretend to be a hero, Deku." The three boys all charge towards the green-haired boy with malicious intent written on their faces. The green-haired boy fearfully roars as he tries to stand up against them. A few moments later, the young green-haired boy lays on the ground, covered in bruises and scratches as he stared at the sky above him. All men are not created equal. This was the reality I learned about society at the young age of 4. And that was my first and last setback. Present time, 2 weeks after Ren's arrival on Earth, a teenager in a middle school uniform with green hair and red shoes sprints down the street, running through a puddle of water with a smile on his face as sounds of a fight could be heard in the distance. My name is Izuku Midoriya. At this point in my life, I'm currently 15 years old and attending Aldera Junior High. For as long as I can remember, I've always had the dream of becoming an amazing hero and saving everyone with a smile on my face. I've always been surrounded by so many heroes almost my entire life, seeing them do so many amazing things and saving everyone around them. It's hard not to want to be a hero, you know. Izuku continues to run down the street, looking up towards the distance ahead of himself, seeing a large villain standing on the train tracks as he roars into the sky. "That villain's huge," Izuku exclaimed as he stops in front of the large crowd of spectators. "Everyone, please stand back," Backdraft announced as he created a safety line with his quirk. "That hero. That's the rescue specialist hero, Backdraft," Izuku exclaimed excitedly. "I can't believe he's actually here. Man, that villain looks insanely strong. Having a quirk that turns you into a giant monster like that is amazing though," a man commented. "You stay away from me, you freak. You hear me?" the giant villain yelled into the sky. "If I even see your freaky face anywhere near me, I'll crush this entire station with everyone inside." It all began in China, in Qingqing City about 100 years ago. There was news that a baby who shined brightly like a light was born. Ever since then, superpowers were suddenly being discovered all over the world. No one ever discovered the cause of this phenomenon, even after all of these years. "What's the situation, officer?" Backdraft asked. Apparently he was in the middle of a purse snatching and someone cornered him. That's when he panicked and used his quirk. The officer yelled. "There's still people inside of that station. We have to evacuate everyone out before he does anything rash." The officer replied. "Can we get any other pro-heroes here? Kamui Woods, Death Arms and Mount Lady are en route. Until they come, we have to do everything we can to try and get everyone inside out of there." Backdraft replied. "We can't go anywhere near that guy without risking him doing something," the officer yelled. To Izuku's surprise, a man in a suit suddenly appears in front of him as a blue blur passes by him. "Whoa, what the?" Izuku asked as another man suddenly appears next to him, a blue blur passing by once more. The officers all look back and see a quick flash of a multiple blue blurs bring people out of the train station and joining the crowd. The crowd continues to grow larger and larger as everyone in the station begins to be evacuated by the speeding blue blur. "The people inside of the station, they're being evacuated," the officer exclaimed. "But who's doing this?" Backdraft asked. "So fast, Ingenium, is that you?" Izuku looks around in amazement as he tries to catch a glimpse of the blue blur. Just as he turns around, he sees a blue feline creature passing by him, the two catching each other's attention. The blue feline winks at Izuku, giving him a wave and a salute before dashing off once more back towards the giant villain. "Who in the world was that?" Izuku asked excitedly as he looked back over to the large villain. Before we knew it, the supernatural became normal and a world of superpowered heroes was born. As of right now, roughly about 80% of the world's population now has some kind of special powers, quirks, is what we call these unique traits. I'm outside. We're all outside. A woman exclaimed. How? I just blinked and suddenly I was out here. I didn't even see what happened. It all just happened so fast. The blue feline speedster runs up onto the tracks, standing right behind the giant villain as he shakes his hands. All right. Everyone's a safe distance away, still a lot of residential buildings around, can't risk compromising the structural integrity of the nearby skyscrapers. Gonna have to try and keep the damage reduced to just the station alone. The blue feline speedster said to himself as he smirked. Time for phase, I'm warning you freak, just stay the hell out of my way. The giant villain yelled as a bright green flash catches his attention, making him turn around. To the large villain's surprise, a large figure with a tail charges towards him, pushing him back along the train tracks as he lands a punch onto the villain's gut. The villain slams back into the station's hub, causing multiple power lines to fall as the train tracks are covered with a cloud of smoke. There it is, a hero's here. The man next to Izuku exclaimed, making him turn around. I wonder who it's going to be. Izuku asked excitedly as he clenched his fists excitedly. It's. Izuku holds his breath and stares into the cloud of smoke, seeing a large silhouette within the smoke as he began to rise. As the smoke cleared, the sunlight revealed a large dinosaur-like hero standing over the giant villain. In this world of swirling chaos, the profession that everyone once dreamed about and admired was now the centerpiece that our society has come to rely on. That profession being. Didn't think you'd get away that easily, did you? We were having so much fun earlier. It'd be a shame to end it so quickly like that. The dinosaur hero asked. Is that a dinosaur? The man next to Izuku asked. Who is that? He looks so cool. Izuku exclaimed excitedly. Who the hell are you? What happened to that speedster guy? The villain yelled. You mean Fast Track? Yeah, he clocked out for the day. But don't worry, Humongosaur will be more than glad to take care of your daily dose of butt whoopings. Humongosaur replied as he charged towards the villain, shoulder tackling him back away from the crowd before landing multiple punches onto the villain. The giant villain growls with anger as he picks up a large piece of the station, ripping it off of the structure and throws it towards Humongosaur. Humongosaur catches the rubble and throws it back towards the giant villain, striking him and sending him crashing back along the tracks. Humongosaur. Is he a new hero? Izuku exclaimed. I've never seen that hero before. Is he some kind of dinosaur? What a cool quirk. I have to get a closer look. Izuku begins to worm and squeeze his way through the crowd, making his way towards the front as the fight continues to unfold. Excuse me. Pardon me. Sorry about that. Izuku said to the people he passes as he makes his way to the front of the crowd. The large villain roars angrily and smashes through the metal support beams nearby, grabbing onto them and using it as a blunt weapon. Humongosaur however blocks with his arm, shattering the metal support beams easily before grabbing the collar of the villain and head-butting him, giving him a nosebleed as he stumbles backwards. UBSTRD. The large villain said to the dinosaur hero. You'll pay for that. Yeah. How do you expect me to pay? Be like you and snatch some old lady's purse. Listen man, I don't know how down bad you are in life, but risking your entire freedom for chump change is about the dumbest thing anyone can do out here. Humongosaur asked as he dusted off his shoulder. You seem like you have a lot of repressed anger too. You ever thought about taking up yoga? I heard it's very spiritual. Just back the hell off. The giant villain said as he threw a punch towards the dinosaur hero. Dinosaur BSTRD. Guess not. Humongosaur said before blocking the punch and countering with an uppercut to the giant villain's jaw. The giant villain's head JRKS upwards as Humongosaur grabs onto his collar, proceeding to flip him over his shoulder and slam him down onto the ground. Within the large crowd, Izuku finally makes his way towards the front, seeing Humongosaur and the giant villain continuing to fight. Wow! It's even better up close. Front row view really does change the dynamic of everything. Izuku said as he took out his notebook. I've never seen this hero before, I gotta sketch down what I can. Let's see, large frame, muscular build, dinosaur-like appearance, roughly 15 foot tall, exhibiting superhuman levels of strength, adequate speed overall. Humongosaur kicks the villain back away from himself, spinning around and striking the villain with his tail. The giant villain stumbles back as Humongosaur's tail wraps around his neck, pulling him back in as Humongosaur lands another direct punch onto his face. You know, for someone your size, I would have said that actually hurt. But I guess you're living proof that size really doesn't matter. The dinosaur hero said to the villain before continuing to trade blows with the villain. Has a long tail that can be used for multiple scenarios, creating openings and pulling in opponents. Izuku muttered to himself as he continued to write down in his notebook. But with the size and length of that tail, wouldn't its actual practicality just be limited by the environment he finds himself in? In a residential area like this means that he would need a much larger space in order to, hey youngster, you're taking notes during this epic fight. You looking to become a hero or something? A man asked Izuku. Oh, sorry. Yes, I am. Izuku replied. That's a great goal you have, do your best. The man replied. Alright, thanks. Izuku replied. With a second spin, Humongosaur knocks the giant villain down with a strike from his tail. The giant villain groans in pain as Humongosaur stands over him. So like, are you supposed to be a shark or a kangaroo or what? I really can't tell, like that face structure of yours is really throwing me off right now. Humongosaur asked the villain. You're pissing me off. The large villain said as he quickly got back up and grabbed onto Humongosaur. Take this. The large villain tries to lift Humongosaur off of the ground, only to struggle with the sheer weight of Humongosaur's size. Ugh, why do the short ones always go for the grappling maneuver when fighting someone bigger than them? That literally just puts you at a disadvantage. Humongosaur asked as he began to slowly increase his size, pushing the giant villain back as he struggled to lift him. You look like you're struggling down there. Everything okay? Need me to spot you? Remember, lift with the knees, not the back. Come on, you gotta want it. Get those reps in, you can do it. I'm gonna. The giant villain said as Humongosaur continued to walk forward, easily pushing him. Kill. You. Guess no matter the planet, some things just stay the same, huh? Humongosaur asked as he easily pushes the villain back. Don't mess with me. The giant villain said as he is continued to be pushed back as Humongosaur walked forward. Listen man, as much as I love this oh so witty banter between us, I've got a hot date named Ramen, and she does not like to wait. So let's wrap this up before our friends in overly bright colored and flashy costumes show up and annoy me again. Humongosaur said as he picks the giant villain up by his waist, slamming him down onto the tracks and knocking him out completely. And that, as they say, is that. Maybe next time if you're gonna go for the purse snatch, don't dress like a purse snatcher man. Dead giveaway. Not only does he possess incredible strength, but he's also able to increase the size of his entire body. When this happens, scales begin to form, starting from his spine all the way down to his tail. I wonder, can those scales be used as some kind of extender for possibly more power in overall attack power? Izuku mumbled as he quickly wrote in his notebook. Do your thing, officers. He's out cold, but I'd slap on some cuffs quick before he freeze. The officers yelled to Humongosaur. Don't move. Another officer added as he aimed his pistol at Humongosaur. And there it is. You know, for once, I'd like to have a conversation with you all without the prospect of a gun being aimed at, Humongosaur said as an officer suddenly fired at him, the bullet bouncing off of his head. Me okay, first of all, dude, not cool. Second of all, probably shouldn't fire that thing with so many people around. You know, possible ricochet and all that. Don't they train you guys to do that? Not to fire willy-nilly with civilians around. Identify yourself. Hero name and hero ID number. The officer yelled to Humongosaur. Let's see, hero name, that's an easy one, Humongosaur. As for hero ID number, Humongosaur replied. Get it. Because those numbers, when you put them into a calculator, it spells, hero IDs are 9 digits long. The officer yelled. Well, excuse me, drill sergeant sir, I must have left the other 2 digits in my other pants. Mind calling your mother and asking if I can stop by and pick them up in a few minutes? I swear, I'll come right back. Humongosaur replied with a chuckle. You think this is some kind of game? The officer yelled. Just as I thought, you really are one of those vigilantes. Vigilante? Izuku asked curiously. You been living under a rock or something, young man? Lately, in the past 2 weeks around here, there's been a bunch of reported sightings of vigilantes running around here and taking on crimes like it was some kind of battle royal. The man replied. Apparently real weird-looking ones too. Weird how? Izuku asked. Well, from what the news said, some people reported seeing a stingray guy flying through the sky, a purple crystal guy, muscular catman, a giant green grasshopper, a blue moth guy, a giant crab with a huge head, a spider monkey-looking one, a guy that looks like a walking planet, a white dwarf with speakers on his body, and apparently, one made out of Legos. The man replied. Legos? Izuku asked. You seriously haven't heard about this? Look it up on the internet, there isn't a single news outlet online that isn't talking about these new sightings. Real talk of the town they are. There's rumors that they're all a part of some kind of connected vigilante group, that's how they're able to be everywhere and nowhere at once, but again, those are just rumors. The man explained. So this Humongosaur, he's a vigilante, then someone who's working outside of the law in order to enforce it, Izuku said as he looks down at his notebook, seeing the sketch of Humongosaur inside of his notebook. If there really is a whole network of vigilantes out there, then was that blue cat guy one of them too? Stand down, vigilante. Death Arms yelled to Humongosaur. That's Death Arms. Izuku exclaimed as a figure swings over Izuku's head. That's Kawaii. You can do it, Kamui. A group of fangirls exclaimed as Kamui Woods rushed towards Humongosaur. The young and talented rising star, Kamui Woods. Izuku exclaimed. Kamui, that dinosaur guy is a vigilante. Don't let him escape. Backdraft yelled. I don't intend to. Kamui replied before extending his wooden limbs towards Humongosaur's wrist. By my authority, I'm placing you under arrest, vigilante. Should have brought some stronger cuffs than Pinocchio. Humongosaur said before he swings his wrist around, sending Kamui flying away. Kamui grabs onto a still-standing metal beam and lands on top of a station stop, looking up at Humongosaur. Illegal use of your powers to repeatedly interfere with a professional hero's work is often regarded as extreme vigilantism, bordering the line of being considered as a villain. Kamui Wood said to Humongosaur as he slowly stood up. You believe that you are helping people with your quirk, but your actions are no different from that of the man you just defeated. You vigilantes are just like the villains you claim to fight against. You and all of your vigilante allies will soon face the wrath of true justice. Is this how you normally talk? Please tell me this is just for show and not how you actually talk. Because listen, I don't know who's your dialogue coach here, but they need to be fired immediately because that was just preemptive. Binding. Lacquered chain prison. Kamui Woods declared as he wrapped his extended wooden limbs around Humongosaur. Terrible. Humongosaur said as he sighed deeply. There it is. Kamui Woods' special move. The preemptive binding, lacquered chain prison. Izuku exclaimed. The crowd begins to cheer for Kamui as his binds begin to tighten around Humongosaur. Now we're finally going to bring you in. And when we do, you're going to tell us where the rest of your vigilante friends are. Death Arms yelled. It's over, this is the end of the line. You're not going anywhere this time, vigilante. This is my ultimate move. The very essence of my soul, the move that will, to Kamui's surprise, Humongosaur begins to grow in size, his muscles and body begin to stretch and break his wooden bindings as they shatter into tiny pieces. Kamui Wood stares in shock at Humongosaur as Humongosaur stretches his body out. Ultimate move, huh? Might wanna look into improving it a bit. Wood is a lot more brittle than one may think it is. Maybe instead of the entire body, for bigger enemies, go for the limbs instead. Humongosaur said as he dusts the wood chips off of his shoulder. How did you? Kamui asked in shock. Yeah guys, listen, it's not that I don't enjoy our lovely conversations, but it's just, well, I don't quite frankly, and I'm super hungry right now. Humongosaur replied. Listen, bad guys over there, he's knocked out cold, I don't have any handcuffs on me and I have a purse to return, so deal with this for me and I'll catch you guys later. Mount Lady, stop him. Death Arms yelled. On it. Kamui, clear the way. Mount Lady yelled, making Humongosaur look to his left. Mount Lady charges towards him as she grows in size, leaping into the air and aiming her foot out towards Humongosaur. Special move. Canyon Cannon. Mount Lady declared as she tried to land a kick onto Humongosaur. Until next time, fellas. Happy to do your job for you anytime. Humongosaur said as he saluted Mount Lady. A sudden bright green flash blinds her and the entire crowd around them. When the large crowd opens their eyes, Humongosaur had disappeared without a trace, making everyone murmur among themselves. He's gone. Izuku muttered in shock. Where did he go? Hey, where'd he go? Death Arms yelled as he looked around the area. Mount Lady looks around her surroundings as she got up, brushing her hair to the side as she stands up. No way. He got away. I'm not seeing any kind of trace from him. He's gone. Mount Lady replied, DMN it, that's the 8th time this week. Death Arms yelled as he smashed a piece of nearby rubble. Getting sick of this, how are these DMED vigilantes always at the scene of the crime before us? And of course, we're left to clean up their mess, Kamui added as his arms grew back. I'm more curious as to how these vigilantes always manage to slip away from our grasp. Hey, officers. Order a search party and patrol the surrounding area immediately. Death Arms yelled. Don't let that vigilante escape. Death Arms, let's get an ambulance down here first and check on the civilians involved, make sure there's no one injured. Kamui replied as he joined Death Arms down onto the ground. Our first priority should be the innocents first, you know that. But if we let one of those vigilantes escape again, how do you think it'd make us look to the public? If we can't even stop one of these vigilantes from breaking the law, how can we promise the people that they're safe with our protection? Death Arms angrily yelled. Listen, I get it, but right now, there's nothing we can do about that vigilante. Keep your composure in front of the people. Heroes are responsible for keeping the public calm and assured to, so just calm down. Kamui Woods whispered to Death Arms. Oh come on guys, it's not all bad. I mean, the bad guy's incapacitated and since we're the only pro-heroes around, we still get the credit for taking this guy down, right? May as well just stay and smile for the cameras. Mount Lady said as she began to pick up the giant villain, posing for the cameras. After all, this is a good time to get some exposure to increase our popularity as a team. Mount Lady looks back as she smiled softly for the cameras. My name's Mount Lady. I apologize for the lateness of my arrival, it's a pleasure to meet your butt quantans. Mount Lady said to the reporters. I swear, if this gets me banned again, I'm going to AO3 fully. Not even joking at this point. There it is, there it is. A wave of photographers said in unison as they began to take pictures of Mount Lady. Guess that's it then, Izuku thought as he began to put his notebook into his book bag. Vigilantes, a whole bunch of them roaming around here, moreover, sightings go back from 2 weeks ago. Izuku begins to remember the fight with Humongosaur and the giant villain, remembering how easily Humongosaur overpowered him. I don't get it. If that guy had that strong of a quirk, why would he become a vigilante of all things instead of a pro hero? That kind of strength is enough to put anyone in the top 10 charts within the first month of their debut, so why? Izuku thought. Everyone, please back away from the crime scene. For anyone who is injured, please make your way over to this storefront over here. An ambulance is on its way to help you tend to your injuries. Backdraft announced. Guess I'll have to look more into it later, but right now, I have to get to class. Izuku thought as he began to run towards his school. Of course, along with the superpowers came an explosive increase in crime. As the country was stuck in the slow progress of drastic law reforms, courageous people started performing heroic acts from out of comic books. Guarding against superpowered villains and defending the innocent from the forces of evil. Thank you, thank you. It was nothing. Always glad to help. Mount Lady said as she waved to the crowd in front of her. As long as they have pictures of my good side, that's all the reward I'll need. Heroes were soon accepted by the public and it was established as an official occupation. Based on their performance and the number of crimes they stop on average, they are paid by the Heroes Public Safety Committee and gain fame among the masses. Almost everyone these days dream of becoming a hero, just like their idols, including me. What's my quirk, you may be asking? Well, that is a complicated question. See, at this point in my life, Aldera Junior High, alright students, since you're all third years now, it's time for you all to seriously start thinking about your futures. Your hopes, your dreams, and your aspirations. All of these things should be considered when deciding your next move. The homeroom teacher said to his students as he stood in front of the podium. Izuku sits in the back of his class, writing in his notebook and not concentrated on classes at all. I'd pass out the handouts for your future plans now, but, the homeroom teacher said as he began to smile, his students beginning to activate their quirks. You're all. The teacher throws the handout sheets into the air as the students all began to show their quirks. Pretty much planning to go into the hero course, right? The homeroom teacher asked. Yes, sir. The class all cheered. Yes, yes, you all have wonderful quirks at your disposal. But please, tone it down. Using your powers at school is against the rules. The homeroom teacher announced. Hey teach, don't lump me in with the rest of these losers. A spiky blonde-haired boy said to the teacher as he kicked his feet up onto his desk. I'm not gonna be stuck at the bottom with the rest of these rejects. That was uncalled for, Katsuki. Yeah, what's your problem, man? How about you all shut up like the extras you know you are? Katsuki yelled back. Oh, if I remember correctly, you wanted to go to UA high school, right? Bakugo. The homeroom teacher asked. UA high. That national school. It was in the top 2% this year, you know. Their acceptance rate's always really low too. Izuku hears the whispers of his classmates and keeps his head down low, avoiding eye contact. That's exactly why you guys are just extras. Katsuki yelled as he stood on top of his desk. I aced the mock test, I'm the only one at this school who could possibly get into UA. It's my destiny to surpass All Might and become the top hero in the country. That #1 spot on the hero ranking is my birthright. My name will be inscribed on the list of top heroes and go down in history as one of the greatest heroes who's ever lived. Oh yeah, Midoriya wanted to go to you, too, right? The homeroom teacher asked. Izuku flinches at the sound of his name being mentioned as Katsuki stands frozen in shock. Izuku slowly looks up and sees his entire class staring at him with looks of skepticism and disbelief before suddenly bursting into laughter. Ha! Midoriya. No way. As if someone like him would ever get into you, eh? You can't get into the hero course just by studying, you know. Guess dreamers are just gonna keep on dreaming, huh? They got rid of that ruling last year. Izuku exclaimed. Now anyone can, Katsuki roars with rage as he releases an explosion onto Izuku's desk, knocking him back towards the end of the classroom. Hey Deku. You know you're below the rejects. You're quirkless, you damned nerd. Studying is about the only thing you can do because you're so damned useless. Katsuki yelled angrily. You think someone as weak and quirkless like you could ever possibly hope to match me? Stop trying to make me laugh, Deku. No Kaken. I'm not trying to compete with you, it's just well I, at least wanted to try to, Izuku stuttered. Try to what? You're quirkless, Deku, or did you forget that when you were daydreaming about having a quirk? The spiky blonde yelled. Even so Izuku whispered as the sound of his classmates laughing filled the room. I wanted to, are you making fun of me? Are you taking this test for fun? What could you ever possibly hope to do, huh? Katsuki yelled. You're quirkless. Get that through that stupid skull of yours. You were born quirkless, you'll always be quirkless and you'll die quirkless too. Got it. Izuku looks down in shame as his classmates continue to laugh at him. Even so I want to at least try, Izuku thought as he tried to block out the sound of his classmates, looking down and avoiding eye contact with anyone else. Heroes are people who make the impossible possible, so if I can do this then doesn't that mean that I can be a hero too? At the end of the school day, the school bell rang throughout the middle school, signifying the end of class and the day. Izuku looked at the news on his phone, one article in particular caught his eye. The new vigilantes of Hosu City. Threat or menace? Vigilantes. Izuku whispered as he clicked on the news article and a video plays. This is it, the report about the vigilantes. Appearing just roughly a week ago, there have been multiple eyewitness reports stating that there are a string of new vigilantes that have been inferring with pro-heroes work, taking down villains and many gangs in the area. Taking the law into their own hands and capturing said villains without the proper permit. The photos provided from the citizens of Hosu of the vigilantes indicate that these people may be part of a gang or an underground organization that intends to defy the Hero Association laws put in place. Currently, the vigilantes as a collective have managed to stop on average 60 villain attacks per day. The current number in their group however remains a mystery. The vigilantes have encountered heroes on multiple occasions, managing to escape each and every time without putting up any kind of physical resistance whatsoever. Although the online majority praise these vigilantes for their actions and the people they saved, the other party have different opinions. The video cuts to an interview of a citizen. We have quirk laws put in place to keep the peace. These vigilantes are everything that's wrong with the world. If anyone was free to use their quirks at any time, who knows the amount of chaos and damage it could to do the world. I'm telling you right now, these guys are gonna cause more problems than they solve. Selfish use of your quirk will only bring misfortune to others. You all should just let the trained professionals handle these situations. Look, I'm just saying that despite the good they're doing, vigilantism is still a crime. And like all crimes, you have to turn yourself in and pay the price. They stink, and I don't like them. When asking the representatives of the Hero Association about what the vigilantes, here's the statement they had to give. I assure you all, we will catch all of these vigilantes and put them all in bars. We have the best top heroes on the lookout for any one of these, however many there may be. I promise you citizens of Hosu City, your safety is in good hands. No way, a group of vigilantes. Izuku said, they sounds dangerous, but Izuku couldn't help but stare at the strange people on his phone, that scrolled up and down multiple times, as if trying to get a better angle on them. Whoa. These are the vigilantes that have been showing up lately. Izuku asked himself as he scrolled down the feed, seeing the pictures of the vigilantes. As if by instinct, he begins to sketch the vigilantes in his notebook, detailing their features as he quickly sketches them all down. Even the vigilante from this morning is on here. They look so amazing. I wonder what their quirks are. There's so many of them, even if they are vigilantes, but they can't be all bad if they're saving people, right? Izuku thought to himself excitedly. Wait, is that a planet? Izuku put his phone in his pocket and began packing up his belongings. He took one last look at his hero analysis notebook. I should hurry up and go home so I can look them up more, learn more about their quirks and abilities for my hero analysis book. Izuku thought as he smiled, beginning put it back in his bag only for it to be snatched away by Katsuki and his entourage. What? We're not done talking yet, Deku. Katsuki said as he looked down on Izuku. Keikaken. Izuku muttered. Hey Katsuki, what's that you're holding? One of Katsuki's friends asked. Katsuki holds out Izuku's notebook towards his entourage to read. Hero analysis for the future. Katsuki's friend asked before laughing. What kind of lame thing is that? Midoriya, come on, wake up to reality already, man. It's sad to see you be this delusional. Katsuki's second friend asked. It's fine, isn't it? See, could you please give it back now? Izuku asked. Without a moment's hesitation, Katsuki uses his quirk and explodes the notebook right in front of Izuku, causing him to scream in terror. Adding salt to the wound, he tosses it out the window, causing Izuku even more grief. No, my notebook. Izuku yelled in distress. Why would you do that? The best heroes out there all have one thing in common, Deku, and it's that they had always shown signs of greatness, even as students. That's why I'm going to be the only one to get into you, from this crappy public school, the first one to ever get the honor of going to you, in this school's history, and the only one who will ever have that honor. Katsuki proclaims as he grabbed Deku's shoulder and begins to use his quirk. That's why, if you even think about getting into you, you're dead meat, Deku. Are we clear? The look of killer intent in Katsuki's eyes pierces Deku's soul, rendering him even unable to move or speak. Katsuki releases Deku's shoulder and shoulder bumps him aside. Izuku just looks down at the ground as he shakes uncontrollably. TCH, so lame. You could at least try to say something instead of just standing there. Katsuki's first friend said to the shaking Izuku. Did you expect anything less? He's pathetic. Just look, he can't even face reality even if he tried. Katsuki's second friend added. Look at him, just standing there. Like someone like him would ever become a hero. Hey Deku, I just got a great idea. If you really want to be a hero so much, why don't you take a swan dive off the school's roof, and pray for a quirk in your next life? Katsuki yelled out just before leaving. Izuku was all alone in the classroom. Standing in the same spot as he had been when he was threatened by Katsuki. His heart racing and his fear rising, it was almost as if he was drowning in despair. Finally, he managed to compose himself and began to head out of the school. He walked around behind the school to retrieve the thrown-out notebook. He finds the notebook in a small fish pond, he picks it up reluctantly and stares at the damaged and wet notebook. Holding the damaged notebook to his chest, he walks home, fighting back the tears as best as he could. Katsuki's words replayed over and over in Izuku's mind, unable to stop himself from thinking about it. You're quirkless. Get that through that stupid skull of yours. You were born quirkless, you'll always be quirkless, and you'll die quirkless too. Got it. Did you expect anything less? He's pathetic. Just look, he can't even face reality even if he tried. Hey, I just got a great idea. If you really want to be a hero so much, why don't you take a swan dive off the school's roof, and pray for a quirk in your next life? Izuku stares at his burnt and wet notebook for a moment, hearing the echoing words of Katsuki and his group of followers. Without another word, he begins to walk off of the school grounds, making his way home in silence as he looked down at the ground. A few minutes later, Izuku continues to walk through the streets, making his way towards an underpass of a bridge, still holding his burnt notebook in his hand. Can I really become a hero? He thought in his mind. No, no, don't think about that. With enough hard work, I can make it. I know I can, He stops in front of the underpass of the bridge and looks at the notebook once more. No. You decided back then, didn't you? That you'd be a hero, no matter what it took, right? Izuku thought as he shook his head. That's right, don't worry about what other people think. Hold your head up high and plunge forward with a smile on your face, just like All Might does. Izuku then enters the underpass of the bridge, holding his fist up high and laughing wholeheartedly like All Might. His voice echoes throughout the small passageway as a dark green sludge suddenly begins to emerge from a nearby manhole behind him. The sludge begins to take the form of a large sludge man, making Izuku turn around and seeing a pair of eyes and mouth emerge from the sludge figure. A villain. Izuku yelled. A medium-sized invisible cloak. The goo exclaimed with excitement. Perfect timing, kid. Izuku tries to run away from the villain, only to be caught by the villain's goo and dragged back. I need to borrow your body, kid. It's bad enough I got All Might on my tail, but now I got one of those vigilantes chasing me as well. Stop struggling and let me have your body. The goo yelled as he began to enter Izuku's body. Don't worry, it'll only hurt for about 45 seconds. You'll feel better soon. Can't breathe. Izuku thought to himself as he clawed at the goo. Izuku begins to suffocate and panic, he flails his arms and legs, clawing at the slimy goo on his body, but it was no use. Sorry kid, nothing to grab onto. I'm 98% fluid. The goo said as he continued to enter Izuku's body. Thanks for your help, you're my hero, kid. Just let go. The pain will fade away soon enough. My body. There's no strength. Izuku thought as his hand dropped to his side. I'm dying, am I really dying? Izuku glances down at his dropped notebook, seeing his sketch of his hero costume. I'm dying. Somebody. Please. Izuku thought as tears streamed down his face. Please. Save me. Then, from the same sewer hole, a bright green goo emerges and sees what the villain is doing. The villain looks behind him and sees the green goo vigilante reforming. Don't think so, ugly. Let the kid go. The green vigilante yelled out. You again. Back off or the kid gets it. The villain yelled. Hold on kid, I got you. The green vigilante yelled to Izuku as he flies over to the green sludge villain using the device hovering over his head to rush the villain with impeccable speed. With the same device, he uses it to pull both his gooey body and the villain off of Izuku and out of his body. What the hell? The villain exclaimed as the green goo pulls him out of Izuku's body. Your body chemistry isn't all that different of Goop's own, it's just more dense. But the best thing about this guy. I can change my own density to match yours, and when I do I can pull this off. Goop yelled out. Goop then changed his body form into a ball that contained the sludge villain who desperately tried to break out. Using the device above him, Goop began to spin rapidly with the villain still inside his ball. What are you doing? The villain yelled. Tell me, sludge man, you prone to motion sickness. Goop yelled as he began to spin faster and faster. Goop then deforms the ball, sending the sludge villain crashing against the wall and splattering everywhere. Izuku opens his eyes weakly to see what Goop had done. Goop's device then reforms his body, he dusts of his own hands. And that is what they say, Goop said before a bright green light flashes and revealing Ren 10,000 in Goop's place. Is that? Izuku begins to black out again. Just before he does, he sees Ren look at Izuku and rushes over to his aid. Hey! A voice said quietly. Hey! The same voice said louder. Come on kid, don't die on me now. The voice said more clear this time. Izuku awakens slowly to see Ren 10,000 slapping his cheek lightly. Oh, thank God you're alive. For a second there, I thought you already crossed over. Ren said cheeringly. If you didn't wake up well, that would have been a really awkward conversation with the police. Izuku sits up and looks at Ren. Who are you? Izuku asked. I could be asking you the same thing, kid. My name's Ren. You. Ren replied. I Izuku Midoriya, Izuku replied. Well, great to meet ya, Izuku. Ren said as he looked over to the remains of the sludge villain. Just wished that it could have been under better circumstances you remember anything about what happened. Izuku looks over at the remains as well, then he suddenly remembers what had happened. Ah. Wait, the villain. The sludge villain, then the green guy. And then I wait, Izuku looks at Ren again and remembers seeing him transform back from goop. Why you, Izuku said quietly. Me. What about me? Ren replied. Why you're one of those, vigilantes aren't you? I saw you. Use your quirk. It was the same as one of those vigilantes from the news. Izuku said frighteningly. Please don't hurt me. I promise I won't tell anyone. Kid, relax. I ain't gonna do anything. Ren assured. Izuku put down his arms and looked at Ren, who was crouching to meet Izuku's eye level. Really? Izuku asked, course not, what kind of monster do you think I am? Honestly, I'm a bit offended that you would lump into the same type of category as that villain. I am deeply sorry. Izuku yelled out, bowing as he did. It was just a joke, kid. Ren explained. Ren looks to his feet as sees a notebook. What's this? Ren asked, reaching down to the notebook. No, wait. Izuku pleaded, but it was too late. Ren opened the notebook and began reading the contents. He flips through the pages, reading each page intently and thoroughly. Hey Izuku. Ren said to Izuku as he pointed to the kanji on the cover of the notebook. What does this say? It says Hero Analysis for the Future That's the 13th edition of my Hero Analysis, Izuku replied. Hero Analysis Ren asked as he flipped through the pages. Wow, there's a lot of stuff in here about a lot of heroes. Wish I could read whatever these symbols are. Do you mean kanji? Izuku asked. Kanji, that's what these things are. Ren asked. How weird, but kinda cool too. Does he not know how to read kanji? Izuku thought as Ren turned to face him. You do you, wanna become a hero? Ren asked Izuku. Izuku said, puzzled by Ren's question. This notebook is yours, right? These notes on heroes seem really detailed and thorough. You've even got something on Kamui Woods. Ren said as he flipped through the pages. Ren continued to flip through the pages until he reached the section where Izuku had sketched the vigilantes won the news. He got to Humongosaur's page and smiled. Well, yes. I do want to be one, but Izuku paused. But what? Ren asked. You see, I don't have a quirk, so, a lot of people have been telling me that I shouldn't even try lately. I've been thinking that they're right, Izuku said depressingly. A part of me wants to at least try, but there's another part that says it's hopeless lately. I've been thinking that this other part is right, that it might be time to get realistic, that even if I get into the best hero school in Japan, I'd probably only be in the general studies course rather than a hero course. But Ren closes the notebook and uses it to lightly tap Izuku's head. Izuku is a bit startled by this and looks at Ren, who has a wide smile on his face. It's your dream, isn't it? Ren asked, to become a hero. That's what you want more than anything, right? It's your everything, your very reason for living. Why yes, my dream, it's always been my dream, Izuku replied. Then that's the only confirmation you need. Ren said proudly. Who cares what others might think? A quirk isn't what makes someone a hero, you know. It's what they do with the things they're given that makes them so. If it's your dream to become a hero, then you should do what you can to try and achieve it. You really think I can do it? Izuku asked. It ain't a matter of whether or not you can. It's all just a matter of whether or not you have the courage to move forward with it. Ren said. If you don't at least try, you'll never know the limits of your own potential. If other people don't believe you can do it, well, that's just gonna be their problem to deal with when you prove them all wrong. Izuku's eyes begin to light up with hope and shine with tears. Now tell me, does Izuku Midoriya have that courage? Ren said with a smile as he handed Izuku back his notebook. To bet on himself and take a chance to make it all the way. Izuku takes back his notebook as he stared up at Ren, who began to nuzzle Izuku's hair gently with a smile on his face. Well, I'll see you around, Izuku. I should probably get out of here before the big guy shows up. Ren begins to run off. Remember, kid, quirk or no quirk, it's your heart that counts. Izuku watches Ren run off into the distance. He smiles brightly and hugs his notebook even tighter. Wait, what big guy? Izuku thought to himself. Then behind him, bursts a muscular man from the sewers in a white t-shirt and green cargo pants. It's all right now, why? Because, the muscular man said as he emerged from the manhole. I am here. Oops. This image does not follow our content guidelines. To continue publishing, please remove it or upload a different image. Izuku couldn't believe his own eyes. All Might, the #1 hero and his idol, had just appeared before his eyes. He almost passed out again just from the sight of All Might. All Might! Izuku yelled with excitement. Hello, young man, you wouldn't happen to have seen a sludge villain pass through here, would you? All Might asked Izuku. Oh. Izuku stuttered as he pointed to the bits of sludge all over the bridge. He's there, and over there, and a bit up there. All Might couldn't believe his eyes. Did this boy really defeat a villain all by himself? Why, he must have a powerful quirk. Impressive. What's your name, young man? All Might asked. Oh, it's I Izuku Midoriya, sir. Izuku responded. Well then, young Midoriya, I must ask. Did you do this? All Might asked. Oh, no. Not at all, it was one of the vigilantes. Why, you know, from the news. Izuku tried to explain. The green goo guy. I see, did you see where he went? You well Izuku stuttered as he remembered Ren's kind smile, his words of affirmation echoing within his mind. It ain't a matter of whether or not you can. It's all just a matter of whether or not you have the courage to move forward with it. If you don't at least try, you'll never know the limits of your own potential. If other people don't believe you can do it, well, that's just gonna be their problem to deal with when you prove them all wrong. I was attacked by the villain, you see, and I ended up passing out. I think the green goo guy saved me though, Izuku replied. All Might listened to Izuku Midoriya's explanation with a blank smile on his face. Well, what's done is done. At least there will be one less criminal on the streets. Though I must admit, these ragtag group of vigilantes are quite the slippery ones. All Might replied. Say, would you mind helping me scoop this guy up into this bottle, young Midoriya? Why yeah, sure. Izuku replied. They both worked on picking up the remains of the sludge villain in awkward silence. I can't believe I just lied to All Might, the All Might. Does this make me an accomplice? Am I going to jail? Is my dream already over before it even began? Izuku thought to himself frantically. All Might noticed Izuku's shaking as he picked up the rest of the sludge villain. Midoriya put the last of the sludge villain's remains into the empty soda bottle and All Might put the cap back on. Thank you for your help, young Midoriya. Now then, duty calls. All Might said. W8. Izuku yelled out. See, can I ask you something, All Might? All Might looked at Izuku questioningly when he noticed the notebook in his hand. Of course. He must want an autograph but was too nervous to ask for one. I understand, not a problem. All Might said before grabbing the notebook from Izuku. All Might quickly signs the book and returns it to Midoriya, who looks at the signed book in awe. All Might really signed my book. Izuku whispered. Now then, stay safe young Midoriya. All Might said as he was about to take off. No wait. That isn't what I wanted to ask. Izuku shouted before grabbing All Might's leg. All Might was not gliding through the air when he felt a strange weight on his leg. When he looked to see what it was none other than Izuku Midoriya holding on for dear life. I have a lot of things I want to ask you directly. Izuku shouted against the wind. End of Chapter 2, Chapter 3, You Can Be a Hero. Previously, I have a lot of things I want to ask you directly. Izuku shouted against the wind. Young Midoriya, I understand that you're a fan of mine, but this is going a bit far. Please let go. All Might said. All Might begins to try and push Izuku off of his leg. Izuku, however, continued to hold on desperately for his life. But if I let go now, I'll fall and die. Izuku yelled back. Oh, yes, I suppose that is a fair point. All Might replied. Please All Might, I just want to ask you some things. It won't take long, you're my all-time favorite hero, so please. Izuku pleaded. All Might begins to cough as he held a smile. I don't have much time left in this form. All Might thought as he looked down at Izuku. All right, I understand young Midoriya. Just close your eyes and mouth. A few minutes later, Izuku finally releases All Might's leg and falls backward, wheezing and trying to catch his breath, almost in shock of what just happened. I thought I was going to die, Izuku said in a raspy voice as he fell to his knees. I'm sure that someone will let you down if you keep knocking on that door. Please young Midoriya, do not try something that dangerous again. All Might said as he walked towards the edge of the roof. I seriously am out of time unfortunately, so I must go. Farewell young Midoriya. Wait, my question. Izuku pleaded. No, I cannot wait any longer. All Might replied. I just want to ask you one thing. Izuku yelled as he stood back up, making a fist with both of his hands and squeezes them as tightly as possible. Izuku's fists begin to shake as he musters up every bit of courage that he could possibly find and releases all of it through a single question. Do you think that I can become a hero even without a quirk? Izuku shouted at the top of his lungs. There is a pause, followed by a moment of silence accompanied by the wind. All Might stands at the edge motionless, a bit taken aback by Izuku's question. Can even someone without a quirk be a great hero like you? Izuku asked All Might. All looks back at Izuku, who was standing as tall as he could, stiff as a board with his eyes closed and head down. A hero without a quirk, All Might repeated. You see, I'm just a kid with no special powers. I've always saw how heroes risk their lives to save anyone they can from villains. I suppose that's why I always thought that saving people is the coolest thing someone could ever do, Izuku said to All Might. Recently, I met a stranger who told me that it was possible. His answer gave me hope, that's why I wanted to ask you personally. I want to become a hero like you. Someone who always is saving people with a fearless smile dash. With the loud poof interrupting Izuku could finish his sentence. Shock and confusion comes over him as he analyzed the large puff of smoke in front of him and a skeletal man in All Might's place. Ha! You're not All Might. Who are you, an imposter? Izuku frantically shouted. I assure you, I am All Might, ga. No way. How did? I don't, what happened to you? Izuku yelled in a panic. You know how guys at the pool are constantly flexing and posturing to hide their belly fat? That literally explains nothing. Izuku exclaimed. I don't understand. All Might is fearless. He saves everyone with a smile. He's the greatest hero in Japan. Izuku muttered, making All Might sigh. A fearless smile, huh? Well, since it's gotten to this point, I should at least explain this to you. All Might said to Izuku as he sat down against the railings of the roof. Young Midoriya, what I'm about to tell you is to remain between us and only us. I am trusting you to never write, speak or even mention about what you've seen or heard here today online or to anyone. Can you promise me that? Izuku gulps out of fear, but nods his head as he approaches All Might. Let me explain, All Might said as he lifted up his shirt, revealing the wound on his chest. What is that? Izuku asked as he stared at the wound on All Might's body. This is an injury I got from an enemy's attack 5 years ago. Half of my respiratory organs were destroyed and I ended up losing my whole stomach. All Might explained. I became emaciated from repeated surgeries and the after effects. Now because of this wound, I can only do hero work for about 3 hours a day. Izuku could only look at All Might's wound in horror and in shock. 5 years ago was that when you fought Toxic Chainsaw? Izuku asked. I see you're well informed. But don't underestimate me, a punk like that couldn't defeat me. All Might replied. However, that fight was not made public to the world. I asked that it not be made public. This information is strictly classified and is only known by a select few in the hero world. If this information ever got out to the public, there will surely be unimaginable chaos and villainy following it. I trust you not to speak of any of this anywhere to anyone. Why yes of course All Might sir. Izuku yelped. Thank you, young Midoriya now then. All Might replied as he stood up. As for your question, Izuku immediately stood upright, stiff as a board. The symbol of peace must be someone of peerless character, one who will never be daunted by evil and always save people with a smile. The reason I smile is to distract myself from the overwhelming pressure that comes at times and to put everyone at ease. A hero is someone who is willing to risk their lives to save others. With that in mind I'm sorry young man, but no. Without a quirk, I just don't think it's possible for you to become a hero, and just like that, all the tension Izuku had been holding within himself shatters, the weight of All Might's words echoing over and over within his mind on an endless loop. Without a quirk, I just don't think it's possible for you to become a hero. Without a quirk, I just don't think it's possible for you to become a hero. Without a quirk, I just don't think it's possible for you to become a hero. Without a quirk, I just don't think it's possible for you to become a hero. Without a quirk, I just don't think it's possible for you to become a hero. Without a quirk, I just don't think it's possible for you to become a hero. All Might stands and begins to make his way towards the exit of the rooftop, leaving a distraught Izuku behind, alone on the roof. It's not wrong to dream young Midoriya, it's admirable that you want to help people. But there are different ways you can make a difference. You could always join the police force. People often mock them, but it's because of their work that we're able to put villains behind bars. Try to be realistic and think about it, okay? And just like that, All Might takes his leave. Izuku on the other hand, remains on his knees. All Might's words weren't registering with him, only one phrase he managed to take in before blacking out. Without a quirk, I just don't think it's possible for you to become a hero. Is it really not possible? But then why? Izuku thought to himself before remembering Ren's words to him. A quirk isn't what makes someone a hero, you know. It's what they do with the things they're given that makes them so. Maybe he just said that to make me feel better maybe. In the end, it doesn't matter what I do, Izuku said to himself. With All Might begins to walk out of the building, still thinking about Izuku on the roof. He couldn't help but feel guilty over his words, but what was he supposed to say? If he had said yes, then the boy might have rushed into a situation that could get himself killed. But it isn't as if he didn't know where the boy was coming from. In any case, time to get you down to the station so you can properly get dash, All Might said as he tapped the side of his pocket, only to feel it empty. DMN it. I must have lost him when Midoriya latched onto my leg. I have to find him quickly. As All Might finishes that thought, an explosion can be heard from a far-off distance, just a few blocks away. Oh no, please don't be what I think it is. All Might said just before running down the stairs. In a certain alleyway, a few minutes earlier, what happened? The bottled sludge villain said slowly opening his eyes. Ha! What the hell? Where am I? I can't move. The last thing I remember was, the sludge villain remember his fight with Goop, the vigilante that made headline news. That copycat Goo-er. He must have did this to me. I swear, if I ever see him again, I'll. The sludge villain shouted in anger. Before he continues his rant however, he hears a group of voices coming from further down the alleyway. Hey Katsuki, isn't Midoriya your childhood friend? A boy with black hair asked. You sure went overboard today, another boy with long hair added. It's his fault for getting in my way. Katsuki replied while kicking the bottle of sludge. The bottle hits a pole and the cap pops off, released the sludge inside. He's an idiot dreaming like a child. Katsuki said, exploding his hands in the process. Just looking at him pisses me off. Then, let's hit the arcade. You in? The boy with black hair asked. Fine. Why don't we go to the one in front of the station, there's a lot of prey over there. Huh? Are you stupid? If we get caught, it's going on my personal record. Katsuki shouted. The two boys laugh, then their laughing stops when a looming shadow is cast over them. One of the points behind Katsuki, Katsuki turns around and is met with the sludge villain. An invisibility cloak with a great quirk. Just what I needed. The sludge villain yelled. With Izuku looks to his left, seeing the smoke from the explosion just a few blocks away. An explosion, is it a villain attack? I wonder what hero will show up. Izuku said as he ran to the door. Without a quirk, I just don't think it's possible for you to become a hero. Izuku stops in his tracks upon replaying these words in his mind. His momentary smile soon turned into a sad frown as he walked to the door, in no rush to go anywhere. What would be the point? Izuku thought to himself before heading towards the stairs. I can't be a hero without a quirk. At a certain ramen noodle stand, Ren sat at the noodle stand, slurping up a bowl of chef's prized ramen in delight. Delicious as always, chef. Ren exclaimed. Thanks for cooking me up a bowl. I was starving. Not at all, you're one of my favorite customers after all. It's on the house anytime you want a bowl. Chef replied. Say, none of those thugs came back to bother you again, have they? You just have to say the word and I'll make sure they're history. Ren commented. No, nothing yet. It's been pretty calm this past week, so I think I'm in the clear. Good to hear, I'd hate for your stand to be gone. This is the best ramen I've ever tasted. More like the only ramen you've ever tasted. You know, there are plenty of other famous ramen shops. You ever thought about going to try their stuff? No way, if it's not from you, chef, it just wouldn't be the same. Plus I don't exactly have any earth money, Ren replied. Earth money? Chef said questioningly. Before Chef could continue his thought, the news suddenly interrupts the broadcast on the big screen of Hosu City with a live feed of the villain attack. We interrupt this broadcast to bring you breaking news. An unidentified sludge villain was reported to have started on a rampage of attacking citizens and heroes alike in the market district. To make matters worse, the villain seems to have taken a hostage that has some type of explosion quirk and forcing him to use it to attack the heroes. The damage caused by the villain has started a mass wildfire of city blocks, stretching the heroes' forces thin and hindering the hostages' rescue. Ren watches intently with a large strand of noodles still hanging from his mouth. Hey chef, is that area close to here? Ren asked. Yeah it is. It's just a few blocks south of here. I recognize some of the shops there. I take my daughter there to buy snacks all the time. Oh, I hope she isn't there now. Chef said looking back at Ren, only to find his seat empty. Ren. Back with Izuku. Izuku walks down the street quietly, flipping through his notebook of heroes. When he gets to All Might's autograph, the words that broke him echoed once more. Without a quirk, I just don't think it's possible for you to become a hero. Stop crying. Izuku said to himself. You knew all along, didn't you? You were just avoiding reality, that's why you were so desperate to prove yourself wrong. Izuku the trips over a small crack on the sideway, dropping his notebook in the process. While he manages to catch himself, his notebook bounces on the ground and opens to Goop's page. Izuku stares at the sketch of Goop and remembers Ren's words to him. Now tell me, does Izuku Midoriya have that courage? Izuku stares at the notebook for a short while, he then picks it up and stares at Goop. He grips the book tightly as if not wanting to give up but is being forced to face reality. Small tears form in his eyes as he continues walking. Thank you for the kind words, Mr. Ren, but I don't think I do, Izuku thought to himself weakly before turning a corner. Maybe I should take All Might's advice, maybe becoming a police officer won't be that bad. He then sees a large crowd of people around an area that seems to be smoking. Is that where the explosion happened? Did I subconsciously walk here? Izuku muttered. He soon joined the crowd to witness the commotion. Why am I even here? All of my notes are useless now. I should just keep walking. Izuku's eyes widen as he realized what villain was attacking. That's the villain that attacked me earlier today. But, that's not possible. Ren defeated him and All Might captured him in the bottle. Izuku remembers his meeting with All Might on the roof, realizing that All Might's pockets were empty with no bottle in sight. His pockets, they were empty, Izuku thought to himself. Soon the citizens began muttering among themselves. Hey, why aren't the heroes doing anything? Looks like their quirks aren't suitable for this type of villain, plus they got a hostage. Izuku almost vomits remembering what it felt like to be suffocated by the sludge villain. Hey, isn't that the villain All Might was chasing? Wait, seriously, but there's no way he could lose against this guy. Why isn't he here now to help? Soon from another corner, Ren arrives to see the situation, stopping at the back of the crowd. The news said one hostage and a sludge villain. It's the same villain from earlier. But I thought All Might would have captured him already. Why is he here now? Ren said to himself. Ren takes a look at the other heroes who weren't doing anything at all. He recognizes Death Arms and shakes his fist in anger. Why are you all just standing there? How long will you watch before enough is enough? Is there even one real hero here to handle this? Ren thought to himself. It's my fault I wasted his energy. He can't power up yet and none of the other heroes have the right quirks. This is all my fault, I'm so sorry. Help will come soon, a real hero will save you, I'm sure of it, Izuku thought as he stared at the villain. As Izuku continued to stare in horror of the situation, when he saw the hostage's eyes begging for help, he realized who the hostage was. Keikaken. Izuku muttered. Katsuki's eyes begin to widen with terror and fear as he looks around frantically within the crowd, his eyes locking with Izuku's. Izuku's legs began to move on their own, causing him to burst forward into the action. The citizens and heroes could only watch in shock as Izuku ran towards the villain. Ren also notices Izuku running towards the villain. Don't do it, you idiot, you'll get yourself killed. Death Arms yelled. That kid Izuku. Ren asked himself. Not this brat again. The sludge villain yelled. The sludge villain turns to face Izuku and forces Katsuki to hold out his hand. Get lost, brat. The sludge villain yelled as he forced Katsuki to fire off an explosion. Izuku somehow manages to dodge the explosion and continue running towards the villain. What do I do? What do I do? What would a hero do? Page 25, cut off his eyesight. In panic, Izuku took off his backpack and threw it at the villain. Hitting the villain in the eyes and causing the villain to stagger and momentarily release his hold on both him and Katsuki. Izuku continues his futile attempt to dig Katsuki out. He arrives, grabbing Katsuki's arms through the goo and tries desperately to pull Katsuki out. Meanwhile, Ren then runs off somewhere, away from the public eye. What the hell are you doing here, Deku? Katsuki yelled out. I don't know, my legs just started moving on their own and before I knew it, I was here. I couldn't just stand here and watch you die. Izuku said on the verge of tears with snot dripping down his nose. Your eyes. They looked like you were calling for help. You DMN brat, I'll end you. The sludge villain said before firing off another one of Katsuki's explosion, blasting Izuku away from him. Before he crash-landed however, he is caught by bright green goo creature and lands safely. Ha! Green goo. Izuku said as he observed the object he landed on. A green head then emerged and faced Izuku. Doing something as reckless as that. I gotta admit kid, you're either brave or completely cracked. The green goo said to Izuku. Either way, I'm all for it. Izuku looks up and immediately recognized who had just saved him. Aren-san. Izuku exclaimed. The name's Goop if you don't mind. Goop replied. It's one of the vigilantes. Death Arms yelled. Stop. We don't have time for that, we need to focus on getting those kids out of there. Another hero yelled. Ah. And my friend, Kaken. He's still trapped in there. Izuku said pointing to Katsuki. Please, you need to save him. Goop takes a moment to look at the villain. You again, don't think the same trick will work again you copycat F, the sludge villain yelled. Izuku, did you notice anything where you were that close? Goop asked. His eyes. Izuku quickly replied. When he tried to attack me, I threw my bag at his eyes. It seemed to have hurt him a bit. His eyes huh. Izuku, I have a plan. But I'm going to need your help. Goop said to Izuku. What? Me. B but dash, there's no time to argue, you're the only one here. The other heroes are too scared to do anything. You want to save your friend don't you? Goop asked. If you want to save your friend, we have to make a move now and make it fast. What do I need to do? Izuku asked. Goop then stretches himself, forming a slingshot-like device along the walls of the buildings of the district. I'm going to launch you, with enough force, you should be able to grab your friend right through the goo. Goop explained. But he'll see that coming won't he? Izuku yelled. I got that covered. Just trust me Izuku, we got this. Goop replied. Izuku looked at Katsuki again, who was still struggling against the villain. But what if I miss, what if I can't grab him? If I mess up, then he'll, Izuku thought to himself. A green hand suddenly grabs his shoulder. Izuku, your friend needs you. You can do this. I believe in you. You came this far, don't stop now. Goop assured Izuku. Izuku jumps over Goop's body and begins to walk backwards into Goop's slingshot, getting enough runaway for a launch. What does he think he's doing? All Might said to himself. When Goop's body could no longer stretch any further, Izuku braces for launch. Ready. Ready. Fire. Both Izuku and Goop launched themselves towards the villain at almost neck-breaking speed with Izuku screaming at the top of his lungs, arms open wide. What an obvious plan. Hope you two are ready to die. The sludge villain yelled, preparing to attack Izuku. From behind Izuku however, Goop flies past Izuku and splatters himself onto the villain's eyes. Using the device above his head, he stretches himself upward, pulling the sludge villain's head with him and blocking his eyes. DMN it. I can't see. I can't see. The sludge villain yelled. Like before, the villain releases his grip on Katsuki to try and rip off Goop from his head. Kaken. Izuku yelled, still flying towards Katsuki. Izuku manages to break through the villain's sludge and pushes Katsuki out of the villain's grasp. Katsuki was unconscious, it was probably a good thing however. I did it. Izuku said to himself. Goop lands behind them and creates a bed for them to safely land on. You sure did kid. Get him out of here Izuku, I'll handle him. Goop said to Izuku. Alright. Izuku said, carrying Katsuki over his shoulder and running away. Just before running past the villain and towards the heroes, he looks back at Goop, who was assuming a fighting position. "DMN, it that really hurt, you know," the sludge villain said as he managed to finally rip the gunk shots off. "I'll make you pay for that." "Oh really, here's hoping you'll finally be able to do something right," Goop said mockingly. The sludge villain attacks Goop, who dodges by flying past him using the floating device above his head. Don't think for 1 second that same trick will work twice. He continues to dodge the villain's onslaught. "Come on man, this is getting boring. Can you please just turn yourself in already? I got somewhere to be." Goop replied. "Shut your mouth," the sludge villain yelled as he began picking up objects around him. "Eat this." The sludge villain tosses some debris at Goop. Good idea," Goop said as he flies towards the debris. A green flash blinds the villain and the rest of the spectators as it revealed a new form. "Upchuck," the new form yelled. What the hell?" the villain yelled out. "Did he just change forms?" a spectator yelled out. "No way, what an awesome quirk. Is he really a vigilante? He can change forms," Izuku said to himself. "Wait, then does that mean Upchuck eats the debris with ease and fires back at the sludge villain, causing pieces of his body to splatter across the district and get smaller? Upchuck lands on the ground and faces the villain. He continues to eat more debris and fires more shots while running around the villain, this time, at the villain's eyes again. "UBSTRD. Stop doing that," the villain yelled out. "If you say so," Upchuck replied. Another bright green flash envelopes the district as it revealed yet another new form. "Spitter," the new form yelled. Spitter fires a gush of yellow ooze on the villain, causing him to be drenched in it and splatter small parts of the sludge's body across the plaza. The villain tries to reform his body, but the yellow ooze was too slippery to let him. What is this?" the sludge villain exclaimed. "Oh, you'll find out." Once more, another flash of green light reveals another new form. Shock Squatch. "Get ready for this shocking experience," Shock Squatch proclaimed as his fist began to surge with electricity. He slams down on the stream of ooze left by Spitter. The ooze conducts instantly with Shock Squatch's electricity and shocks the sludge villain relentlessly, making him scream in pain until he splatters across the entire district. "Sleep tight, Goo Man. Now for another problem," Shock Squatch said as he looked at the fires around the district. Another bright green light flashes and reveals another new form. Water Hazard. Water Hazard begins to fire a torrent of water from his palms in order to put out the fires around him. Once all the fires were put out, he does a big stretch. And that is that. The simmering of embers was soon followed by cheering of the civilians. "That guy's awesome. He managed to defeat that villain and save those kids. Who is this guy? With a quirk like that, he could have easily gone pro. Well, I suppose I should be thankful that he showed up, even if he's a vigilante." But now, All Might said to himself while looking at Izuku. "I have some wrongs I need to make right." Ren looks back at the crowd who was cheering for him. "Mr. Ren, you're amazing," Izuku said out loud while gazing at Ren. "You won't get away this time," Death Arms said as he ran towards Ren. "You're under arrest for vigilantism and endangerment of a child." Death Arms punches Ren, who dodges with ease and fires a torrent of water to push Death Arms into a food stand. "I just did 80% of your job and this is the thanks I get," Ren said sarcastically. Endangerment of a child, police. Like standing by and watching him die was any better. "Unfortunately, big guy, I don't have time for this. I have some business to attend to." A bright green light flashes once more and reveals a new form. Jetray. "Maybe next time, you'll wear a diaper underneath that tacky costume so people won't see just how bad you were pissing yourself." With that said, it looks like you have a villain to pick up. Jet Ray said as he then flew off into the sky, unable for anyone to catch him. Later. DMN it, he got away again. Death Arms yelled as he got up drenched in water. Let's just focus on getting his villain in jail. Another hero said. But first, the heroes looked to Izuku who was still gazing at Jet Ray flying. You idiot. The heroes yelled towards Izuku. Do you have any idea how dangerous that was? You could have gotten yourself killed. Izuku flinches at their shouting and begins bowing furiously. He looks over at Bakugo who was receiving medical attention and praise from the other heroes. But somehow, he didn't feel jealous or sad. He smiled, knowing that he had helped save his friend. A few hours later, after a long scolding, Izuku finally starts heading home under the bright glow of the sunset. He thinks about the feeling he got when he managed to grab Katsuki through the villain's goo. Izuku smiles and grips his backpack straps even tighter. I wish I could have gotten to thank Ren for back then, Izuku thought to himself. His words, they gave me the strength to save Katsuki, even though he knew I was quirkless, he believed in me. Oh well, guess it's too late for that now, Deku. A voice called out to him from behind. It was Katsuki. Keikaken. Izuku said quietly. A running Katsuki comes charging at Izuku, then stopping to catch his breath. Listen to me. I would never ask someone like you to help me. Don't you dare look down on me, not for 1 second. You got that. I was fine on my own. You're just a quirkless loser who wouldn't even cut it as a rent-a-cop. You didn't help me. You did nothing, got that? Katsuki shouted before angrily turning away. Damned nerd. What was that about? Izuku said to himself. Well, he's right. With no quirk, I don't have a chance of becoming a hero. I guess it's time to choose a different future. Just as Izuku turned away and began walking home, a black and blue feline-like man appeared in front of him, bringing with him a strong gust of wind. There you are, I've been looking everywhere for you. The blue speedster said to Izuku. Wah! Izuku yelled, taken aback slightly by the stranger's approach. Who are you? Kid, relax. It's me. Run. The blue speedster explained. Izuku stares a bit longer before replying. Aren-san. Is that really you? Izuku asked. Well, right now I'm fast track, but I can change that, fast track said before a bright green flash blinds Izuku. When Izuku opens his eyes, Ren is there standing in front of him where fast track had been standing. There, better. Ren asked. Mr. Ren. It really is you. Izuku exclaimed. Well, I told you it was. Like I said, I've been looking everywhere for you. Ren replied. Ha. You were looking for me? Izuku asked. The one and only Izuku Midoriya. Ren replied as he smiles and put his hands in his pocket. I wanted to ask you an important question, Izuku. One that could change your life forever. You got some time? Izuku nods his head yes. Ren walks past him and looks at the ocean view. Remember when we met earlier today, under that bridge with the sludge villain? Ren asked. Oh, of course I do, Izuku asked. And do you remember what you told me? That you wanted to become a hero, despite having no quirk. Ren asked. Why yes. Izuku replied skeptically. You want to know what I thought about that when you first told me that? I thought, this kid's either the craziest kid I've ever met, or bravest hero in the world. Ren replied. I still believe that quirks aren't everything, in fact, they're not even necessary to become a hero. Sure they help, but it's not what really matters. What matters is the heart, Izuku finishing Ren's sentence. It's what you told me when we first met. Ren looks back at Izuku with a smile. Right. A lot of people think heroes are like some kind of gods. Like, people who have never once faced a shred of fear in their life. People always see them as invincible, unstoppable and fearless, but if you ask me, a hero who knows no fear is a dead fool. Ren continued. Being brave and having courage isn't about having no fear. It's about acknowledging what you're afraid of and having the ball to face it head on, to force yourself to move towards that fear and keep facing the future. Izuku's eyes lit up like a sparkle as tears formed in his eyes. Ren takes a step towards Izuku. Today, when the sludge villain took that kid hostage while all the other heroes were hesitating and the kid was suffering, the one with the biggest heart of them all rushed into action, with no hesitation. That guy was the coolest hero I've ever seen in my life. That guy was you, Izuku. Not Death Arms, not Mount Lady, not even Kamui Woods you. Ren said to Izuku. Ren-san, Izuku muttered. Izuku, would you believe me if I told you that I'm actually quirkless as well? Ren asked. Huh. Izuku muttered. But I saw you use your quirk. You changed into those things. You changed into 5 of those things at once. Yes, I did. But not because I have a quirk, but because I have this. Ren said as he showed Izuku his watch. It's called the Omnitrix. Long story short, it's what lets me transforms into the creatures you saw today. Also, they're not creatures. They're actually aliens from different worlds. Their DNA is all stored in this device right here. A device that lets someone transform into a creature that has a quirk. Not just creatures, but aliens. So aliens really do exist. I mean, there's been theories dating back to more than a century ago, but is that even possible? I've never heard of anything like that before. That must be a piece of advanced technology. I've only ever heard of people using support items that lets them utilize their quirks before, but something that essentially gives you a quirk is just, Izuku muttered to himself quickly, trying to understand how it works. You nerd out pretty easily, huh? But yeah, in other words, I'm exactly like you. Quirkless through and through. Ren said after chopping Izuku's head to snap him out of his muttering. Stop that. From a distance, All Might in his skeletal form was about to turn the corner, looking for Izuku when he saw him talking to Ren. He began to listen in on their conversation. That young man, haven't I met him before? All Might asked himself. Thanks for trying to make me feel better, Ren-san, but I'm nothing like you. You were awesome when you were fighting that villain. You were confident and brave, but Izuku explained. There is a moment of silence shared between the two. But you were the one who saved your friend, wasn't it? Ren asked. Izuku looked up with surprise in his face. Sure, I may have been the one to launch you, but you were the one who caught him. I couldn't have done it without your help, Izuku. You did that, not me. Ren said to Izuku. That kid alone looked danger in the face, shouted and fought against it with all of his courage and heart. If that doesn't make someone a hero, then I don't know what does, in all honesty. I may be from a different world, but I know a hero when I see one, Izuku. Wait, is he the one who fought that villain earlier? The vigilante. All Might thought to himself. The courage that you showed back at the shopping district when all of the other heroes just stood by and watched, you were the only one who summoned the courage needed in order to save a friend in need. The strength you showed when facing the same villain that nearly took your life before is the very strength that defines a hero. And the conviction you had when you went along with my plan, despite not knowing much about me and having no reason to trust me, you did, for the sake of your friend. Ren said to Izuku. It was nothing. He looked like he was in so much pain and I knew just how much it hurt, since it happened to me before, so when I saw him in the same position as I was back then, Izuku replied. I just couldn't sit around and do nothing, my legs just moved on their own before I even knew what was happening. In just a few short moments, I saw you shine brighter than anyone else there at the time. Strength, courage and conviction, could you believe that? A scrawny little kid with no powers or skills, just wanting to try and save someone who needed help. Rushing into danger without any hesitation. That kid had the makings of a hero inside of him. Ren said to Izuku. And that's why I'm here today. Izuku Midoriya, I want you to become my successor. What? Why your successor? What do you mean by, I want to offer you a chance, Izuku? The same chance that was offered to me years ago, one that changed my life forever. This chance was once offered to me by the man who taught me everything I know, and now I'm giving you that same chance. Ren said as he held out his hand. This torch that I wear on my wrist now was entrusted to me by my teacher, and now I want to pass it down to you. There is greatness living inside of your heart, Izuku. Even without any powers, you had the heart of a true hero. No matter what anyone may think, I know it in my heart. You can become a hero. Izuku, upon hearing Ren's offer, could no longer maintain his composure and dropped down to his knees in tears. Clutching his heart as the emotions he was feeling was too much. All his life, he just wanted someone to believe in him. His mother, his teachers, his so-called friends, they all told him the same thing over and over again. For the first time in his life, he felt as if his dreams were possible. They were all finally possible, through this man. Ren 10,000, Izuku Midoriya, I want you to be the third-generation wielder of the Omnitrix. Ren said to Izuku. What do you say, kid? Izuku looked up at Ren, who was glowing with the sunset behind him like a ray of hope. With a smile covered in tears, Izuku gives his answer. Yes. Thank you, Mr. Ren. Izuku said through his tears. Ren smiles and kneels down, placing his hand on Izuku's shoulder to comfort him. From now on, it's sensei. Ren said to Izuku. Hope you're ready as to what's to come. Your training has officially begun. All Might stares at the two in curiosity, Ren especially. Ren, just what are you up to? All Might asked. End of chapter 3.